Hello and welcome to this session. So I am Nicolas Verroit-Avenel. I'm from Mars, and today I will present you how Mars is using EDA to modernize our supply chain. So let's go for it. And before starting, let's give you an insight about Mars and what we are doing. Mars is a company founded in 1911. An old company, and it was built by Frank C. Mars, where he made some candies in its own kitchen. We grown up to 130,000 associates all over the world, and believe it or not, we are still a private family-owned company. No stock of any kind in our company, but still globally, we are making 40 billion net sales on the activity, and we are having brands which on themselves are billion-dollar brands. Globally, Mars is divided, and how you see it, in multiple segments, externally facing segments. We are having Mars Pet Care for all dog food related, and also some veterinary activities. We are having Mars Wrigley, which is all the confectionery, Mars bars, bounties, and so on, which is what you know Mars about. We are having Mars Food, Ben's Original, for example, Suzy One, these kind of brands. And we are also a lower branch, but which is really also important, which is Mars Edge, which is to try to enhance the lives through nutrition. Our activity, and this is something which is not like strange for people, but is much more. It's more pet care than confectionery. Around 55% of our activities is all related to pet care, with brands like Royal Canin, Pedigree, and we have a lot of activities also in the pet hospitals in US and mainly in UK. For Mars Wrigley, you all know the names M&M's, Snickers, Twix, Extra Dove. These are the main activities that we are doing. In terms of my team, the team I'm working in, so I'm an integration solution architect, and I'm heading the integration activities practice for all the segments at Mars. The goal, I'm part of the integration hub. Our goal is to help all the data owners from all the segments to either transfer or expose their data assets. In order to do that, so I am leading the architecture practice. Then we have multiple development teams, and also we are managing the support. And to do that, we are managing a lot of acronyms, but you know them probably. We are managing API-led integrations. We are managing EDA. This is what we are discussing right now. But we are also managing EDI, MFT, and we are looking into all the robotic actions and IoT. So this is our world, and this is what I will show you more deeply into our supply chain evolutions and what we've done with EDA and more. Roughly, we have an activity which is bigger than just supply chain, but we wanted to make a focus on this activity. Our main program related to the supply chain transformation was named Polaris. And this global program aimed to modify all our supply chain, from really the factory to the control towers. All the aspects were about to change. And one of the sub-activity on this program was on the supply chain plug and play. And this is what I will go through. We wanted to revisit completely our supply chain flows and build our plug and play framework. We had three main challenges that we wanted to achieve. The first one is to reduce the time to market to deploy connections to warehouses. The second point was around standardization and modernization. And the last one was to rebuild the data lake publications. In terms of problems, what it meant, these problems. Roughly, we were dealing with multiple months to deploy a warehouse with a lot of unknown things and so on, and we really wanted to reduce this. We had also some limitations of implementing new use cases. Real-time inventory, implementing web shops, all the use cases that were close to real-time, near real-time, were not so easy to implement. And also one important thing is a mindset change. One of the main problems that we faced is people changing their way of thinking. Why changing? The batch file is great. It's cheap, it can be implemented easily, but why changing? This was also one problem. And also, I was speaking about batch, data lake. We want to start enabling new use cases for data lakes based on some real times and so on. It is much complex when the main feeding of a data lake is done through daily batch, monthly batch, and so on. And therefore, we came to a solution based on both APIs and publications, mainly on EDA. So we created 3 levels of integrations. The first level, what we are calling internally the level 1A, is for all the use cases where data is requested on demand, building a set of APIs. But this is not where I will discuss here. Then what we've seen is that we needed to focus on events. We needed to focus on events that were done from the ERP, events that came from the warehouses, from the 3PLs, and so on, which is why we created our EDA concept on the level 1B, building standard flows that can connect internal Mars systems to external applications that will enable real-time communication, easy connectivity. But at the same time, and this is something that is really important for Mars, it is to think about mutuality. We've seen quite easily that it was not possible to go to the external teams and to say to them, guys, implement APIs, implement EDA, connect to a MQTT flow. This is not working. So we needed also to create some downgraded connectivities, and we built our EDA also by enabling SFTP. On data lake, our view was that we did not want to create a one-time publication to data lake. We wanted to leverage EDA to make sure that all the integration flows could go and could be sent to the data lake easily. We think that globally, 1/3 of all our integration projects, and we are managing around 800 projects each year, nearly 1/3 will benefit from messaging. Our view is to implement EDA every time, and as soon as an integration is built, here we did not build a flow dedicated for data lake. We created a flow between an external partner and an ERP, but this enables us to send the data directly to the data lake. And this is what I'm writing here. From integration point of view, feeding the lake is just becoming a matter of subscription to a feed, nothing to be think about. And then after, you still need to make dashboards, but the data is there, the data is enabled. Additional benefits that we could see from implementing an EDA solution is we could reuse a lot. Connecting, pushing a flow is simple, it's just configuration. For example, it allowed us to implement Brexit much easily, much more easy than what it would have been without. We are also enabling real-time use cases. There are multiple use cases related to real-time inventory that we need to connect. We need to create with all the various middlewares and all the warehouses. And we are also seeing, I told you at the beginning that I was managing multiple segments. We see a lot of reuse between the various segments. The same concepts that we are implementing, for example, in pet care, are being available for Mars Wrigley. And so we are trying to make these links between the various segments. In terms of integration architecture, so we designed, I would say it's kind of standard. We deployed a Solace subcloud implementation. Our view is to ensure that we have as much as possible direct flow that are going to Solace. But from our experience, we a lot of time need to implement an iPass on top of Solace because of the necessity to manage connections to topics, to make protocol bridging, to make some complex mapping. So this is what we've gone through. And also we took a decision. A lot of time I'm having the message, are you making an event-driven architecture? Are you making messaging? So with the capabilities of our PubSub, we took the decision to link the message with the event. It's not only an event, a short message, a short information, but all the content of a message is sent in the event. For example, if it's an invoice, all the data is there. And if we need to send different flavors of invoices, this is what we are doing. After, we can say, when implementing this solution, we faced multiple challenges. And one of the first challenge is, in fact, a question of chicken or the egg. What do you set up first? The platform, or do you set up a use case first? This was something that we really needed to work upon. And with the help of Polaris, we could have some time to build the platform, build the logic, build all the foundations that will allow us to go faster in implementing the use cases. We also needed to overcome a mindset change, because there was a lot of confusion between API, EDA. People were not understanding what we were speaking about. So we needed to explain what is API, what is EDA, and also in EDA you can use API. So roughly we made a clear separation. API is all the on-demand request. EDA is all based on the publication of data. We needed also to align between multiple teams, enterprise architecture, security, cloud hosting, business team, data owners. So the alignment between the multiple teams were kind of complex. And we are still working, because this is really important, to work with security. Security is the art of what we are doing. We need to ensure that our flows are safe and our flows are not hijacked. And at the moment, we are only deploying our solution in the cloud, and we will go to create an event mesh quite soon for security reasons. And one of the main challenges also we are facing is ownership of data. This is something really important and something to be discussed about. In terms of advice I could give to people who want to embark on this journey, my first advice is think about your foundation. You can think of your foundation just once. Think about your topic design. Think about how you want to build your routing. From the start, from the use case initialization, it is important to think topic. A lot of time in the head of the various integration architects that were working in our side, they were not thinking topic. They were thinking content-based routing. They were thinking, what do I have in my data? How do I send it? And this is a mindset change, even for the integration architect. Do not underestimate this mindset change. People do not understand EDA. People understand files. People understand batch. This is what they are all about. Also, another advice that I think would have been interesting is the mix. We are seeing that EDA on itself, it's not working alone. A lot of time it's not working alone. We need to implement on top of it an iPass capability. We need to implement the capability to adapt, to publish correctly a topic, to make some transformation, to connect to a strange protocol, to a file structure. So this is really, EDA is not alone. EDA and iPass is the good mix. And the last point, the last advice is to stay pragmatic. Not everything is API, not everything is EDA. Really, you need to use EDA where it makes sense. Where it makes no sense, do not go there. Put a file, create a batch, whatever. The most important is to focus on non-functional requirements. And this is really our key thinking. We need to focus on these non-functional requirements. Do not oversell a technology. This is a bad habit, and this is more negative than beneficial. In terms of benefits that we've achieved with the implementation, roughly I will say it's time to market. We see that subscribing to a pre-built flow, which is enabled in a catalog, is kind of easy. It's just a question of configuration. As soon as the topics are well defined, it's straightforward. We don't need to develop so much. We just need to configure and make sure that we have a correct workflow, a correct process to allow the subscription. But it's not anymore a development activity, which makes us much more agile. This enables real-time use cases, but not only. EDA, you can subscribe to an EDA flow with no need of a real time. Even if a subscriber wants to process the data once a day, fine, so be it. But the data is real-time enabled. In terms of also what is important, the events, what is happening into one application is becoming visible for all. It is not kept inside the ERP. It is not kept inside the OMS. Everyone is able to see and develop and build on top of it. And also the benefits is that we are starting to see this mindset change. When you have the application in place, when you have the first use cases, people start to say, yeah, I understand what you were saying. I understand what it will bring to us. In terms of next steps, what Mars is doing with EDA, roughly our North Pole is that we want to enable messaging or EDA as a native pattern. As I was saying, our estimation is that 1/3 of all our use cases should benefit from event-driven. We are not at this level at the moment, but this is really our objective and our feeling. And also, our second North Pole is that we really want to make the missing link between integration practices, which is about creating links between applications, and data lake team. We want to enable data streaming to data lakes, and therefore enable real-time dashboarding directly from the data lake. So this is really our North Pole and what we are working around. In terms of technical next steps, what we want to do is to work on the event mesh, deploy Solace in multiple clouds. We are more and more multiple cloud oriented. So this is what we are working on. And then, of course, we are working on multiple use cases, starting on master data, and a lot of them are arriving from HR, from finance, from all the segments, either brand-facing or internally at Mars. So with that, I thank you with your attention. If you want to reach us, no problem, connect to Mars or even reach to me if you have any integration question. Thanks a lot.